why do we fall so wildly on different sides of the same equation?
Strangely, the government unearthed.
As millennials and post-millennials, the fact of the matter is we are simply not making the same kind of money as the people who came before us.
Even today, there are managers who say, "Hey, if I'm at work, then sit in front of me for 8 hours and show me that you are working."
I don't think any company is designed to compensate for knowledge work.
It's about the hours of work.
We're coming back to that equation of saying the work is a contract.
I think we're having this conversation because these are things to think about today.
There is no principle of saying I will take the same creative output and apply it to 10 people. It's not possible also.
It's the freelancer or the gig worker who has to show more restraint.
Today we have the tools that will give us whatever perspective we want them to give us.
Whether you're in a corporate setup or you're a gig worker, you're freelancing, there are some things that are non negotiable as a working professional, aren't they? But today it seems that, under the light of the moon, anything goes. Apparently, you can hold 5 jobs at a time. Thankfully, you get paid for all five. And then when you get called out, you can just say oops and move on. So that's what Mr. Soham Parekh has done. And he's been the talk of every town the last couple of weeks. Today, we thought we'll explore workplace behaviors that have left us, honestly, sometimes laughing, sometimes crying, sometimes not knowing how to react. So let's have some fun and reflect on people and their working styles that have maybe added too much color to the workplace. Welcome to Small Talk Work Play Build. I'm Subha Chandrasekharan, a leadership and career growth coach.
And I'm Hasita. I am a brand consultant and co-founder at Motley Crue.
So I think we have a lot of tales when we think back at the various people we worked with, clients we worked with. Not everybody has been kosher, let's say.
That's an understatement if there ever was. So, yeah, as you can see, I'm still salty about the guy who blocked me after after taking the salary and not doing the work. So yeah,
Yeah. So I think there's a Gen Z segment that we will get to
eventually.
But coming back to our Moonlighter, right? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I saw so many memes, right? Like I was thinking that Sonam Parekh Bewafai, you know, or that he's now the equivalent of Ladies versus Ricky Bell, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
everyone's dating the same guy.
Correct.
I mean, I have my thoughts about that, and I don't think he was completely wrong.
Huh.
Maybe not so much from a legal standpoint, but there's a reason he's become a social media hero.
That's true. This is like that Luigi Mangione who killed the insurance CEO, right? There were a lot of people on his side.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, murder is extreme, so we're not going there. But and Sonam, sorry, you put Sonam into my head. Soham Parekh's immediate reaction was, "But I did all the work."
Yeah, and actually, if you remember, his next reaction was to say, firstly, I know I was wrong. And I think that disappointed a lot of people, us. But I mean, why do we fall so wildly on different sides of the same
Yeah,
equation, right? Like, I
yeah.
mean, as a company, I'm sure you don't like the fact that someone you hired full time is now working multiple part time jobs, of which you are one.
Correct, correct.
But if the job is done,
Yeah, that's what, even during the pandemic, and strangely, the government unearthed that folks were working for different companies at the same time because they were getting Provident Fund benefits from multiple employers, right?
So, strangely, the government
Yeah, I mean, I know I didn't expect
I needed
their data, analysis to be so strong. But having said that, I feel like there is some onus on the employer that you didn't give him a full day's job. You didn't give him enough work to do, and hence after 4 hours he was done. I realize I'm saying he a lot, but he or she,
Yeah.
that they were done, and they found something else to fill the rest of the day. And we're not really, like you said, it's not about the legality or the law, while it is, but for our discussion, It's what made them think they could get away with it, what
Hmm.
even prompted them. It's actually to say, hey, I have enough time to do something else.
Yeah. No, what prompted them is a very interesting question, right? Because we are talking about the economic collapse of an entire generation, right?
Yeah,
As millennials and post millennials, the fact of the matter is we are simply not making the same kind of money as the people who came before us.
yeah,
And things are getting more expensive. I mean,
yeah,
you go on Instagram, every second meme is about how you can't afford coffee anymore,
yeah,
right? So
yeah.
if you're still getting,
But the cafes are full.
but the cafes are full with credit card debt.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, think about it, right? As an organization, it is safer for you to exist in systems that were old school,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
To I don't think, except for maybe a few consulting firms, which I mean, that's a whole episode in and of itself. I don't think any company is designed to compensate for knowledge work. I don't
That's
think we
true.
innovated on that ever.
That's true. It's about the hours of work, and hence
Correct.
even today there are managers who say, "Hey, if I'm at work, then sit in front of me for 8 hours and show me that you are working.
Yeah. Yeah.
Doesn't matter what output you're producing or that you're stretching the work
Yeah.
to fill the time." Right?
And also, I mean, the other aspect of saying I only actually had work for 4 hours is to say, but previously we used to sit in the office for 8, 9 hours. What
Yeah.
were we doing?
Yeah.
We used to fill it with meetings, we used to fill it with things
Correct.
that maybe didn't actually
Correct.
contribute.
Correct. And if in parallel we have so much that AI can do,
Ah, yes.
and
Yeah.
organizations also saying, listen, use it for the basic stuff, get smarter about your work, use it to write a better email,
Hmm.
stop writing the same gibberish that you used to write earlier, especially to the external world and all of that. Then obviously somewhere people are saving time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how are you filling that time
Hmm.
with something that is equally challenging, or rather something that will genuinely take up their time?
Hmm.
Right? And if you've not thought that through and if you're not doing it, then I'm going to say, hey, I do have time for something else.
Which is exactly, I think, honestly, what the guy did is he gamed a system that was waiting to be gamed. Is
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course, my very personal
yeah,
perspective on this.
correct. And I think it's a question of what are you doing with that time?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if I have only 4 hours of work and then I don't know, volunteer in a soup kitchen for 4 hours, that's okay,
Yeah.
hypothetically. But if I'm doing it as a commercial endeavor for another employer, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Right?
Again, I'm just going to borrow from Soham Parekh and say he thinks he was wrong. So,
Yeah. No, it's maybe we should have a view, but I'm conflicted,
yeah, yeah.
honestly. um
Because I'm also thinking, I mean, what if I was one of those Y Combinator startups, right? Like, what
yeah,
is the real impact of.
because the interesting thing here
Hmm.
is that all of those who employed him, and there is a long list of people who wanted to employ him,
Hmm, hmm,
like he
hmm.
kept interviewing at more and more
I
places.
think you should just do a guest episode on how to interview like a few hundred times
Seriously.
and crack every single one.
And all of those people are coming out of the woodwork and saying, hey, we almost hired him, he was so good,
Hmm,
we really
hmm.
wanted to hire him, he knew everything. Right? So the guy was good at what he
He
was
did,
doing,
and he
clearly.
delivered what he was asked for.
Correct. So
Yeah, but
yeah, like it's quite so sometimes I wonder, is the problem that it's in the same field,
hmm,
right? Like you're
hmm,
coding for 5 different companies.
hmm, hmm,
So
hmm,
is that the problem? If he were doing 5 very distinct things,
hmm, hmm, hmm.
then are we okay? And these are actually, I think we're having this conversation because these are things to think about today.
Yeah, yeah.
The way we are defining work, working hours, and workplaces, all
Hmm,
of that has changed.
hmm,
Right?
hmm,
If home is your workplace, then who are you sitting in front of for 8 hours? Nobody.
hmm, hmm.
So then how do you control what the person does or should do?
Or
And
should you
and
even
even the self
control? Or
control has to,
yeah, yeah.
right?
And also, honestly, what are we hiring for? What are we working for? Because somewhere I think we are coming back to that equation of saying the work is a contract.
Hmm.
And if the work is a contract, then of course it has certain principles and guidelines around that.
Correct.
But beyond that, should not then it be doing something for me? I'm also coming from the fact that today there is no such thing as job security.
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
number of these companies could have fired him for any number of other reasons
Correct.
that had nothing
Correct.
to do with.
Correct. We
So,
no longer
on
need your code. Bye bye. Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
and on that day, who's going to stand by the side of this guy, right? Like,
Correct.
and I know we have policies and frameworks for this, but we also know they don't usually work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's an open conversation. We should listen to more perspectives as well,
Yeah.
I think.
Interestingly, the work that we used to do more of before, right?
Content. I was thinking of content as well because, I mean, in this industry, you can't. I'm not saying you can't sign in India. Of course, you can sign in India if that's what you want, but it should be to the extent of the information being received from the end client and the
Hmm.
uniqueness of the product. I mean, as a creative agency, you are expected to be creative. Like, there
Hmm.
is no principle of saying, I will take the same creative output and apply it to 10 people. It's not possible, also.
Yeah. So actually, that I feel that more than a corporate employee,
Hmm.
it's the freelancer or the gig worker who has to show more restraint.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
if I am, I don't know, if I am the social media marketing manager for, let's say, a toy company,
Hmm. Hmm.
then can I do that for 3 hours a day?
Hmm.
And then later in the day, do that for another 2 hours for another toy company.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Now, that control I have to exercise
Yeah.
because both the two clients may not know,
Exactly.
right?
Now, that is a little bit of a gray area, I find, because, yeah, and we've had instances in the past of work being replicated.
Yeah, replicated. There's only so much creative output
Yeah,
in one area. And even if I have a brilliant new idea,
yeah.
which client is going to get it?
Yeah. I mean, for that, again, some amount of scaffolding I feel is possible in terms of saying this is the communication approach for this one, that's the communication approach for that one, which is also one reason why we at Motley Crue moved away from saying, hey, the first thing we do is a social media calendar. No, the
Huh.
first thing we do is the concept. Because the concept for you, the toy company, could be very different from the concept for
Yeah.
me, a toy company, right?
Yeah.
So some scaffolding is possible.
Yeah.
But that said, yes, I mean, it is,
It's very difficult.
yeah.
Like, let's say 2 years back, when everybody, or maybe even earlier, when everybody was saying, hey, do we need, as a brand, should we have a podcast?
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
Now, if I'm that marketing manager freelancing, which client do I take it to?
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Because I don't have the ability to handle both. I doubt it because it's a very niche,
Hmm.
topic or
Hmm,
niche
hmm.
area. I can't take it to both,
Hmm.
or maybe I can, but it's bringing in too
Yeah.
much, right?
And we have had instances where we've either in-housed it or outsourced it, honestly, to
Yeah,
someone else who's probably, better
yeah,
equipped to handle it.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, universe of possible behaviors which may not be seen as workplace appropriate is very wide, right?
Oh, oof.
And there
There are
is no
tales.
beginning and end to that conversation. Now, Subha, you worked in finance and compliance is a big part of, right?
Yeah,
Like, no number should be out of place is literally the rule
yeah,
of, I mean,
yeah.
hopefully the rule of banking.
Correct.
What was it like for you, like working with such a large organization, that too?
Large or small, it's in, I think, human behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
When there is an opportunity, right? Um, and to be able to resist that temptation, uh, there are few who succumb,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
And in corporate setups, you have a lot of rules, you have a lot of policies, and you have checks and balances. Somebody is verifying. So from when the day you join, right, you're doing background checks, you're checking with their referrals, you're checking whatever database is available,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that. For example, today as two small firms, we can't afford to do
Yeah.
that deeper background check, and our work also maybe doesn't need it.
Yeah.
There's no
Yeah.
fiduciary responsibility. I'm not allowing you to access some client accounts,
Yeah.
etc.
Yeah.
So banking and other fields, even accessing code of
Mm-hmm.
a client,
Anything
all of that,
proprietary,
yeah, is
essentially.
proprietary.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of instances of prior job experience have, being fraudulent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or when you then question, you'll say, no, I actually worked there. I just, in that last,
Mm-hmm.
minute, I had a fight with somebody and then I left, and so I don't have a letter saying I
Mm-hmm.
worked there. And in some cases it's genuine,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the employer also acted difficult.
Yeah.
But fraudulent documentation is a huge problem.
Mm-hmm.
Fraudulent medical bills, fraudulent expense,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
receipts, etc.
Yeah.
And for what? Like, you have to sit down with some of those youngsters and say, hey, in the larger scheme of things,
Hmm.
right, you are in a well paying MNC,
Hmm.
and you are trying to save a penny here, a penny there,
Mm-hmm.
and that penny will cost you
Cost you a
your
lot more.
job completely. There's no
Hmm.
negotiation, right?
Hmm.
For when you're in a large organization, the code of conduct is sacrosanct.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if you
Hmm.
breach, you breach.
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
it. There's no, oh, sorry, this is why, and
Yeah.
whatever, right?
Yeah.
There's no sob story that's going to work.
Hmm.
But despite that, human behavior, when there's an opportunity,
The
somebody tries
tendency
to
to.
seize it, and then usually they pay the price because there's enough
Yeah.
checks and balances to
Yeah.
catch them, right? So I think, yeah, that's a definite no. I mean, don't try and save a penny on something here and there,
Hmm. Hmm.
for something that you could get caught for,
Hmm.
and you will. And some of these, for example, in a large company, you'll lose your job. Now
Hmm.
today, if just hypothetically, a team member
Hmm.
said, hey, you told me to take the client out for lunch and I did, and here's the bill. You and I are not going to sit and
Yeah. Yeah.
check that.
Yeah.
And it could be double what they actually paid, etc. But we don't have the means to, it's not worth it,
Yeah.
right? But in larger places, you'll get caught somewhere, from resume through AI to
Hmm.
all of
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
tools that they have now. I think it's your credibility takes a huge hit
Hmm. Hmm.
to win that
And again,
trust
it's a
back.
small industry also, no? Finally, it's not.
Anything, yeah, once your
Yeah.
credibility is hit.
Yeah.
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 But let's think about some of the fun don't
Fun.
do stuff.
Fun, don't do stuff. So,
Like,
yeah. I
um,
mean, yeah, I can think of a few. Like, I don't know, don't show up an hour late for a meeting if you,
yeah,
and on
repeatedly.
repeatedly,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
repeat mode. Yeah, yeah, for sure. And
No, when I said, things not to do that are fun, I was just picturing one of our favorite scenes, right? Elaine Bennis dancing at the company party,
yeah,
right? So don't get drunk at the company party.
yeah, like yeah, batshit drunk maybe. Yeah,
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 because people remember,
yeah.
and nowadays there's video evidence of everything.
You might have gone viral by the next
Yeah,
morning.
yeah. That's
Yeah.
another thing today, no, that you're always being watched.
Hmm. And of course, we've spoken about this in great depth in terms of, I mean, that spotlight is on the leadership, but that spotlight is on anyone
Anyone.
and everyone. It's not
Yeah.
like you could be abusive on a Zoom meeting and you
Y-
will be recorded.
Correct, correct.
And I'm not saying the recording is the problem, by the way, like the behavior is the issue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just now there's proof
Correct,
and documentation.
correct.
Which is to say, also, I think don't, I don't know, be abusive in documentation.
No, that's something that seniors used to tell us early on, that assume that any mail that you send,
Hmm.
right, can go to anybody in the
Hmm. Hmm.
organization and outside it,
Hmm.
because it's just one forward button,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And today I think that applies to WhatsApp communication. It's just somebody can take a screenshot.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
think you're having a one-on-one conversation, or you
yeah.
think that this is a very closed group
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
conversation, but who gets to see that, where it gets forwarded to? I
And in
think,
what
yeah,
context?
in what context, right? You
Hmm,
have to be
hmm,
really sure of your safe spaces to
hmm,
let your guard down.
hmm,
Or
hmm.
actually, it's not even letting your guard down, right? It's just behaving professionally.
Yeah, it's actually not letting your
Yeah,
guard down
yeah,
at all. I mean,
yeah.
you have your space for it by all means, but a
Correct,
certain amount of sensitivity, culturally,
correct.
socially, ethically, was expected all along. It's just
Yeah,
it's a lot more visible now.
yeah. I think more than losing your job, I would worry about losing your credibility.
Hmm,
The
hmm,
little things add up,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
Like you
hmm,
said, always missing a deadline,
hmm, hmm. Yeah,
whether it's a meeting or an actual deadline, always not
yeah.
landing up on time, or showing up with what you needed to have
Have
done.
prepped
Yeah, yeah.
essentially.
I think that's
Mm-hmm.
there's no tolerance for that. Nobody has the patience for
Mm-hmm.
such
Yeah,
behavior,
yeah, that's
right,
true.
anymore. Um, Another interesting, and I was having a coaching conversation with an individual today about office politics, and when do you and when do you break rank? Like, when do you call out your manager to their manager, or when do
Mm-hmm.
you call out a peer to somebody senior,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And I think that's a tightrope,
yeah, that's a tricky one.
right?
And I mean, yeah, you'd think that in ideal cases you shouldn't have to, but it happens very often. And Yeah, it's not just I mean, internally, of course, it's a manager, leader kind of situation, but there are all those stakeholders who exist at various different
Yeah,
levels of the
yeah,
hierarchy.
yeah.
And what do you say to whom at what point? Because sometimes you need the work done,
Mm,
but the person getting in the way is someone who is much senior to you.
correct, correct.
Then what do you do?
Yeah. No, in corporate behavior, it's very standard. Like, let's say you and I are peers, and I'm not getting something done through you. Then the next email
CC.
is, yeah, the golden CC. Like, I mark my manager and I mark your manager,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And so that's my way of saying, hey, I've raised some flag here,
yeah.
right? Uh,
Some flag.
but if you keep raising that flag,
Yeah.
and I've had managers who have had to tell their subordinate that, listen, you CC me on everything,
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
so it
Not
really
been paying
doesn't
attention, honestly. Yeah,
mean
yeah.
anything anymore.
Hmm,
And if you want to call out something, call it out in a proper manner, in a proper
hmm,
forum,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
And many times I feel like the your peer
hmm.
sometimes deserves the heads up,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
And also, how much of this documentation do we really do for performance? No, it's not finally, I mean, performance good, performance bad, but nevertheless, for letting other people know that I did my part of the job,
Huh.
someone else hasn't,
Yeah.
and have you seen it?
And I've now, set on stone, because I've
Yeah,
put an
like
email.
tomorrow you ask me, I can always say, but I, right?
Yeah, yeah.
When there might be a more organic
The way of solving
reason
the
and a
problem.
way of
Yeah,
dealing with it,
yeah,
which is that
yeah,
the other person might just have had something else going on. We
yeah,
don't know.
yeah. In a very simple communication workshop, we had a participant who, she refused to accept that there could be a situation where you don't need to send the email.
Hmm, hmm, hmm.
And she said, no, but even if I have a conversation, I need to document it.
Hmm.
Even if we are in a meeting room and it's agreed upon, I would like to go back and document it.
Yeah,
And maybe
yeah.
some of it goes back to the culture of the place.
Hmm. But surprisingly, on the other hand, we used to have this other agency partner, their account manager rather, who would say, I want to document the learnings from this.
Hmm.
Because for us, that becomes very important. Every time there's client feedback that's coming in,
Hmm.
unless you write it in a continuous
Hmm.
document,
Hmm.
you're never going to remember the 10 things. And honestly, sift and sort, because
Yeah.
the client may have 10 thoughts, but it's not necessary that all 10 of them have to be implemented today.
Yeah.
Right? So, to help filter, sift, sort, I think sometimes, yeah, I mean, today we have tools for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You just quickly write and transcribe and say it's a you problem, right? So,
Yeah. True. True. No, but workplace behavior is a problem, because the workplace itself is
it's
is
a
a
problem, is that
is a problem, right? Because it's your living room, then you will behave like you behave in your living room.
yeah.
And so I've been reading, suddenly, like in the last couple of weeks,
Hmm.
a lot of articles about how, in the US especially, they're having to train their Gen Zs
Hmm.
on etiquette,
Hmm. Hmm.
workplace behavior. When we had etiquette training, it was about, the knife goes here and the fork goes here,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
if
Hmm.
you have dinner with a senior client, etc., you should know what to
Hmm.
pick up,
Hmm.
right? But today it's about, hey, like, dress decently and come on the Zoom call.
Yeah, yeah. Don't have a cat filter.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
a
also, I
lot.
mean, honestly, when you said that, I was thinking finally we are also talking to a generation of people who are extremely smart and sensitive, right?
Hmm.
And it's not that their competence is the issue, it's more of the showing up of it,
Yeah.
which itself is a bit of a codified thing which some of us understand, some of us honestly don't. But at the same time, I have recently been sent a reel where a guy is attending his divorce proceedings while sitting on the toilet.
Yeah, I saw
So,
that. Yeah. And another, correct, he was in a court
yeah,
proceeding,
yeah.
right? Yeah, yeah. And in another one where this was in an Indian court, where the judge says you can't do that, because the person was driving or something like that,
Oh, okay. Hmm.
saying, I need to be somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. So the virtual world is still is all over the place.
yeah.
You don't know
Nobody
what to
knows, honestly.
expect.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
don't know who will pop up wearing what.
Hmm.
Even in the workplace,
Hmm.
who will pop up.
Papa wearing what? Doing what? Honestly, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And the wearing what is very difficult. Like, if you're a customer facing role,
Hmm.
typically, you can say, you can define that, hey, this is what we expect you to wear
Hmm.
for customer meetings, or if you're sitting, in a storefront, or if you're sitting in a bank counter, etc.
Hmm. Hmm.
But otherwise, how do you? And I'm sure in creative spaces,
Hmm.
you
That
want to
is a
be who
lot
you
more.
are
Yeah,
becomes.
exactly, because you're also showing up as your whole self, no, in some ways.
Mm,
I mean, which is to say, it's an opportunity to make an impression of a certain kind,
mm,
and therefore you do dress for the job quite literally. And
yeah,
I think we see this in advertising a lot more than
yeah,
we would in many other industries, because if you're making a presentation, then you have to look presentable, otherwise they'll be looking at your hair. Like, it's
yeah,
so normal. And then how do you decide who does what, or what is it? I don't think we can also. It's a little bit
yeah.
up to the individual.
But yeah, I think there's a lot of let me show my uniqueness.
But also, we've had to speak to people and tell them, please don't wear sliders to an office meeting, because they really do look like you're heading to the beach. And she says, well, wearing Birkenstock. But, we've had those instances as well where you really have to, I don't know, say it in the gentlest of manners.
Uh, no, it's the evolving workplace, and the rules are so gray now.
Yeah.
Or rather, they're black and white, but we're trying to figure out what that means.
Yeah, actually, I think, yeah, they were coded somewhere.
Yeah,
Maybe we all understood it in different
correct,
ways.
correct.
Some of them, of course, non-negotiable, like you said, in terms of, I mean, fudging of bills really feels a little bit like a breach of trust. It's not even a right. It's not about your social grace anymore, right?
Correct,
You're
correct.
really taking someone's faith in you, and you're
Yeah,
giving them a reason not to.
yeah. I think it comes back to you're building a career. What are those building blocks,
Hmm.
right? You
Hmm.
want to do good work.
Hmm.
You want to be known as someone who delivers, like
Hmm. Hmm.
whatever you commit to,
Hmm.
you deliver, whether that's in, measured in terms of time, or the creativity, or the quality, or how deep, how strong
Yeah.
your code is, whatever that may be. You're someone who delivers, and that you're someone who's kind of constantly learning and growing,
Yeah.
right? And some of these small things eat away at your credibility at the workplace. Now, whether that's right or wrong is debatable,
Hmm. Hmm.
but
Hmm.
whether you're losing out on opportunities, you're losing out on mentors, you're losing out on, certain client engagements
Hmm. Hmm.
because of the way you communicate, or the way you dress,
Hmm. Hmm.
or the way you just sometimes don't show up and
Hmm.
think it's okay,
Yeah.
because
And don't
for you have a
inform, don't,
reason.
yeah,
Huh?
yeah. I have my reasons, right? And
Yeah,
also, I
yeah.
think it's interesting because today we have the tools that will give us whatever perspective we want them to give us, right?
Hmm.
So if I say, hey, I didn't show up for a meeting, I did not also inform my manager, am I the asshole,
Hmm.
right? We have those AI,
Hmm.
whatever that is on Reddit. And you will have enough people or
I'm
AI
nodding, but
tools.
this is like a Reddit
Yeah,
conversation, is
yeah,
it?
it's called
Okay.
AITAH.
Oh,
Am I the asshole?
okay.
Right. So you essentially give people context on what has happened. Our manager laughs in the corner. So you give people context on what has
Okay.
happened, and then you have
So it's
people
like
telling
open
you
therapy,
whether,
basically.
yeah, and you have people telling you whether you are NTA or YTA.
Oh.
Right. So, and honestly, AI also does that, right? So today
Uh,
it's okay for me to go and say, hey, I didn't show up and
uh,
I didn't tell my boss also, AITAH. And there'll be enough people saying NTA because you're not getting paid enough, NTA because this, NTA because that, and you're like, oh,
oh.
I feel good about
So
this.
essentially, you have your own cheering squad to
Yeah.
validate your behavior,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which, if I'm that, manager after 2 3 decades of working, I have no clue of either
Exactly.
the
Or the Reddit
existence of
thread.
these forums, what these things mean, and why this person thinks I am the bad guy.
Exactly. Exactly.
Right, because ultimately I'm the bad guy in this, and there's some meme about me floating around,
Absolutely. And the only
and a
relief for you is
terrible
that you'll probably
Glassdoor review.
not know about that also. Like,
Yeah,
that's the only
there's a terrible Glassdoor
Glassdoor
review that
review.
I
Yes.
I don't know what Glassdoor they're talking about.
Yes.
Ouch. Life is tough, right? On all sides.
What are the rules? Let Soham Parekh do what he wants to.
Yeah. So our conclusion is, Soham, we're gray on, or maybe you're black, I'm white. uh, we're not too sure. Like there are nuances, shall we
Yes.
say. Uh, Killing the CEO, we're saying no.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Or
so
anyone for
yeah,
that matter. I think we're
anyone for
just
that
saying,
matter.
just to clarify. No.
Maybe we add a disclaimer here that we we don't approve of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, everything else is pretty much gray, is our conclusion.
Yeah. So, one, have an internal compass, and two, know that that compass will fail and therefore have an external tribe of compasses as well, I guess. Like, ask somebody if you don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, seriously. And be willing to hear the feedback
Yeah.
that, hey, what that behavior was not okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And, I mean, and I don't mean like Reddit threads, but like,
No, it genuinely takes a lot of integrity to show up and say, hey, I think I messed up. Am
mm,
I, how do I do better? Like, I
yeah,
think we could all, every single one of us can benefit from that.
yeah. No, and, you know, treat the workplace as somewhere where you're going to learn and to contribute.
Yeah.
And am I building credibility with this action, or am I chipping away at it?
Hmm. Hmm.
Right? Because ultimately, somebody has to trust me to do the work and hence pay me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So what am I really doing here? And even as the founder, owner, manager,
Yeah.
etc., the way I'm behaving towards people, is it helping us grow or is it pulling us down?
Yeah. And that us
Some
includes me.
correct,
It's not
correct,
an us versus them.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Some, I think, some basic questions. Okay, I'm going to say downloadable and then get killed, so I won't. But some basic questions you can ask
Yeah. Yeah.
to kind of see that, are you veering away from, again, question from where, like, what is your value system,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think this whole episode is gray, so please take away what you want.
Yeah.
uh,
And leave the rest
yeah,
as
we'll
comments
but
and
I
we
think
will discuss.
we deserve some gray once in a while,
Yeah.
so that's fine. Thank you for your time, thank you for your service. So my recommendation this week is a watch. And I think I'm drawn to these detective shows with that, one detective with a very sad life who gets kicked out of the force, comes back, or, is trying to find that one purpose for his existence, etc., etc. So there are many shows like that. And so I've drawn to one more, which is Department Q on Netflix. And this has Matthew Good, who is quite compelling both in Downton Abbey and Good Wife, and here too. So he comes back from a break in his stint, and he's just shunted to, a bunch of cold cases, and he picks up one. And many times you feel like, if ever you need something solved, you need that one detective who just makes it their life's purpose, right? And they do this and nothing else. And that's what he does in this case. And it's a good watch. I think it's a good, fun weekend watch. A little dark, a little humorous, British humor, which always works well. So yeah, try it out. Department Q.
Speaking of life's purpose, what if you could be an intern again when you were 70, right? Of course, this is a movie that I'm sure all of us have watched, or most of us have watched, but it's worth so many rewatches. And that movie is The Intern, starring Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. I personally find it to be a very wholesome take on what it means to be at the workplace. It's so sweet, and I think on a certain day and in an age where we are asking what even is a moral compass, I think we should learn from people who've been there for a lot longer than any of us have. I think as much as it is a movie about the actual workplace, I also find it to be a movie about the professional ethics of being an actor as well. And maybe watch it through that lens and tell us what you think.
So that's it this week. Tell us your workplace stories, what works, what doesn't work, what people have done that have shocked you to the core. That'll be fun to read. See you next time.